something loose in it.
Would it be better to have the hesitation?
Well, you're gonna want the council to see it, right? So they're gonna have to.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for a short prayer and a salute to our flag. Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all of our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice and service to our nation. And may He now watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. Salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Statement of publication, please, Jessica.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the mayor and council being held on this 9th day of March, 2020, has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina. Enriquez.
Here.
Mar.
Here.
McGill. Novak. Roberts.
Here.
Can I have a motion to approve the prior minutes, subject to correction if necessary?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Delina.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We're going to just break from our scheduled proclamations and presentations, as we do have a very special proclamation. And I have to say, Mayor, it's weird seeing you in the seats there. But it's nice to have you back here with us. I know that I believe Assemblywoman is running just a few minutes late, as is the Senator. So if you don't mind, I would like to move on to the Arbor Day proclamation. Thank you, Kennedy. With that, oh, where did my proclamation go? Thank you. All right, so today's proclamation is in honor of Tree City USA and our Arbor Day Foundation, and it states, whereas the Borough of Saraville was named Tree City USA by the Arbor Day Foundation in honor of its commitment to effectuate urban forestry management, and whereas Saraville obtained this recognition by meeting the program's 4 requirements: a tree border department, a tree care ordinance, an annual community forestry budget, and an Arbor Day observance and proclamation. And whereas Tree City USA program was started in 1976 and is sponsored by the Arbor Day Foundation in partnership with the U.S. Forestry Service and National Association of State Foresters. And whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And now, therefore, I, Victoria Kilpatrick, Mayor of the Borough of Saraville, do hereby acknowledge that Arbor Day will be observed April 24th, 2020, and urge all citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands to support our town's urban forestry program.
I move the mayor's proclamation be approved on roll call vote.
Second.
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Delina. Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you all very much. Our next presentation today is from our library board. The ladies are here today, and we have technology set up, which is always exciting. So, thank you. Hi, everybody. It might not be. You want to introduce yourself and let everybody at home just know who you are so they understand? Yeah, still talk into it, otherwise they won't hear you. Hello.
Is that working?
Hi, my name
floor
is
is
Leah
yours.
Clark. I'm the director at the Saraville Public Library. I want to introduce you to people who are working on this project with us. This is Hannah Lee. She's the head of youth services at Saraville Public Library. This is Pete Campazano. He is the architect that made up plans for the project that we're going to present to you. This is Samantha Bard. She's with the architectural firm. And then from our library board, we have our president of the Board of Trustees, Ann Polnick. We have the finance person from the board, that is Lisa Payne, and we have trustee member Julia Green. So thank you for having us here tonight. Okay. So we're here to talk about something called the New Jersey Library Construction Bond Act. And what that is that the state of New Jersey, well, the voters in the state of New Jersey approved for the state to spend $125 million to fund library projects for new buildings, refurbishments, additions, and various other things that would benefit libraries. So we're here today to present a project to you where we would like to add an addition onto the library to accommodate all the teens that come into the library after school every day. So we've had an ongoing problem after school with the kids coming in from the middle school and the high school. So we do counts. We get an average of 100 children a day that come into the library after school. We get as many as 130 and higher, but the average is about 100. So they come in, they just get out of school, they're loud, they're rambunctious, they want to eat snacks, they want to make a mess, and we have policies against that. A lot of times, you know, we have to ask some kids to leave the library, and we really don't like to do that. The other problem is that it's disruptive for other patrons. So if we have adults who are in the library and they're trying to get some work done or find some quiet time, they're not able to do it if there are, again, large gangs of teens, not gangs, but large numbers of teens in the library. Even if they're not acting up, just the level when they speak can be loud enough to disrupt people. So it's not that they're bad kids, it's just that there are a lot of them and they just get out of school and they're like that. The other problem is that the way our library is set up is that the teen room is right next to what's called our quiet room. And our quiet room is our silent room. And that's where people go to read. You're not allowed to talk in there. And the teen room is right next to it. So anybody who wants to go in there and take an online test or study or just read the newspaper in peace, they have this noise coming from the teen room. On the other side of the teen room, teachers tutor after school. The teens, they congregate in different parts of the library. They'll sit wherever there's room to sit. We don't have that much space, even for the adults. So the teens can sit on the floor. They're trying to charge their phones with their wires coming across the aisles where people can trip on them. We just don't have the space to accommodate them. And we want to accommodate them. We want them to come to the library. We like to have them there, and we hope they'll become lifelong library users. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to Hannah Lee, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what we're looking to do with the teens going forward in the future.
Hi, I'm Hannah Lee. I do a lot of story times for your kids, but I also run a 130 plus teen volunteer group. So if you imagine how many people that is, that's quite a lot. So some cool things, I've been working 8+ years in libraries, both urban and small town. My focus and everything has been youth services. Last summer, I got 100+ books donated to all of the elementary schools. So if you're wondering what value the library provides, 800 free books is like a lot of money. Okay, so we did a technology survey of what teens need from our library. So we counted that 43 out of 58 teens surveyed actually use our computers for homework. More than that, need the printer because they don't have printers at home. 1/10 of those teens don't have an internet or a computer at home. So like, how are they going to do any of their homework if they don't have access to a computer? We don't have one-to-one in our high school and middle school. So we are seeing more challenges arise and more people needing access to our spaces. The only place where teens can volunteer in town pretty much is the library. We have 130 plus applicants every single year for our summer reading program. And so we only can accept up to 90 for the summer, but year round we have over 40 and 50 teenagers who come to our teen advisory board, lead things like our Holy Festival that's happening in, 1 week. Also things like our Polar Express night, or our, what was the last one they did? Oh, and Ramadan story time. So there's lots of different things that they actively do for our community. And these volunteers aren't just like, you know, loafers lying around doing whatever they want. These are the kids who want to become doctors. These are the kids who want to go to Princeton University and give Sayreville a name for itself. So imagine how many opportunities we open up by providing them the access and resources they need to achieve that success. We had 1,800 teens attend programs last year. We do have upwards of 100 plus teens every day after school. And we're the primary source for career education because not that many other places besides fast food restaurants provide the same opportunities we provide to the community, especially when it comes to providing teens opportunity for themselves. I've written, I don't know how many recommendation letters and recommendations for people to apply to jobs, like the YMCA. These are just some of the things that we've done. That's a piece of our Polar Express night. We have a Dungeons and Dragons group that meets regularly. They do stress relief programs. Harry Potter Express, Hogwarts Express, is fully run by the teens. And then they also help run most of our summer reading program. So 1/10 of our space is solely allocated to teens, yet 15% of our users of teens. We are seeing growth in that every single day because I've been attending like 9th grade classes, I've been doing presentations to them, and every time I do a presentation, they get a library card. And they've discovered that they have so much more things that they can access just by using that library card, even if they're not in the building. We are doing the Preschool for Everyone project. So in 2030, all of these kids who are moving to Sayreville to be part of our Preschool for Everyone project is going to be a teenager. So we are going to see a massive inflation in just those a few years of how many teens are going to be needing our resources. Now this does show that we kind of have some things that we have to work out, particularly that we need to support them. So we just need to offer them the place for them to grow. And our current space does limit the programs and resources we have. We have 130 volunteers, and we have 1.5 people who are in charge of them. So imagine a football team by ×2. That's a lot of management for 1.5 people, but we are really excited to do it because these teens are the best. We've had poetry slams. They coordinate our summer reading book swaps, our Christmas book swaps, so every child who comes into the library can bring a book, get a book, and it's always a new book. They coordinate so much of this. We also have our teen career fair, and I'm just gonna talk to you a couple things that they could do. So right now, this is all the stuff they are doing, but there is more opportunity because I'm seeing more and more of these teens take leadership roles and actively perpetuating community services. So they aren't just doing community service, they are creating community services. For example, things that we can do is increase our club partnerships with the high school and middle school, if we had the space to host them. We already run a teen career fair, which gets 45 to 50 teens in just in 2 hours. And we also actively run college prep programs, which the high school does too, but imagine if we could partner with them. We also do Total Tutoring, which is a tutoring nonprofit. Teens do that for kids in our space, which we have a limited amount of space. So we get like 25 kids coming in for tutoring just from teenagers. Health education, social work partnerships, social emotional learning, and stress relief programs, which who actually does that except us? School project stations and loanable laptops, expanded STEM and coding classes, which we constantly are asked for. Parents are always saying, when can my kid take your coding class? We have 12 spots open for a coding class, and we have about 50 people asking us. So one day, that would be great if we could get all of them. We also have the opportunity for recreational, so audio, gaming, movies, after-hours activities for school events, if we only had a place to put them. And not only that, but we'd be giving back space to adults. So just by providing a space for teens, we are progressively increasing.
Reprogramming.
Yes, we're basically reprogramming that space just for adults and opening it up to a lot more opportunities. So that's all I have to say, and I'm happy to pass it
Thank
over
you.
to our architect.
Wow. How do you follow that enthusiasm?
Yeah.
My goodness. All right, so for the last 6 months, we've been working with these two fine ladies and trying to take that vision, that enthusiasm, and then put pen to paper and come up with a fairly simplistic and hopefully cost-effective design solution. Move the noise away. That was a key component. Young kids fairly noisy. Adults, they want a quiet space. Right now, the two are intermingling. We'll get them divided. That was a key component. Centralize the space. You heard all of the great activities they presently provide, they want to provide, but they're scattered. We need to repurpose and reprogram and provide a centralized space for that, as well as, if we can do that, we could expand the support of the community, as Hannah just explained, and then always to foster development of the library space, which is still a key component of the community. So, part of the study was locations, programming. If you see in the bottom left-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner, you see a 1 and a 2. The gray area is the library space. Where it says key plan is basically the parking lot, Washington Road, just trying to orient you guys. Number 2 is the parking lot. We're really not going to talk about that tonight. That was the larger of the two plans. They're starting to settle and gravitate towards the smaller of the two plans. And this is for, like we said, this is for the application for funding. And we need your support as part of that application. So number 1, we've had an option 1A and option 1B, and it's simply off the children's area. So this area right here is the children's side. That area there would be the adult side. It's a natural break between the two separate and distinct uses of the facility. And it's just a simple 1,200 square foot open floor plan room. It's based on flexibility. There's a lot of space in there, a lot of space for different kinds of components, different kinds of programs. Why don't we get off this floor plan? And then just to give you a couple of views of that open floor, lots of light, lots of places, just move furniture around, provide flexibility, anything from STEM to story time to all of the programs that Hannah was discussing. Another view. This is the second option. Again, just the same floor plan, basically the same size, different kind of components. Another view, stop. Financial breakdown. This is the key component right here. Just a budget estimate right now that we're finalizing. That's going to be part of the application. The key component is, if the state of New Jersey ponies up $500,000, the matching fund is a 50-50 match of $500,000. Right now, this is our budget range for the application. And we can talk about that in more depth if you all want to. And then if there's any questions, these ladies will be more than happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Anybody from the council with any questions? I just had one question, but I don't know if it's something that you can answer, or maybe we need to look more deeply into this. It's obviously a matching grant, which we know, which would require
Correct.
us as a borough to come up with the additional funding. When I was reading the grant, it stated that the monies would be given over a staggered period of time. So one of the things that we discussed in our budget meeting was being able to, when we would have to budget for that other $500,000 component. So if you're getting it in incremental phases, in the event that we obtain that grant, then we were a little concerned about how much money we would have to make sure we appropriated at what time. So that's, we have had that discussion here at the council.
I could help you with.
Sure.
Okay, so the application starts today, actually. It's about a 1-month application. We know that. We know through the summer they'll be vetting the applications, and we should hear something by the fall. The application says that matching funds, the grant funds, will come to us starting with the construction period.
Right.
That's not going to happen until next year at the earliest. By the time we understand, by the time we submit, by the time they vet it, by the time we heard of the award, by the time we design, go out to bid, we're probably a year from now. And then in terms of funding, I believe you can bond it. So if we're talking $500,000 over 20 years, at, $25,000 or
So-
however that would work with your bond counsel.
Right, so thank you. You basically affirmed what I had thought and some of the discussions
ma'am.
that we had, but I'll defer over to my CFO in reference to
edge of your
bonding. I know you were.
Hi, Pete, how are you? I just want to let you know that matching funds for bonds cannot be, matching funds for grants cannot be bonded. It would have to be actually raised in the current fund budget.
Okay.
In that current year, okay?
Okay, then it would be in next year's budget at the earliest then.
So just so that you know, first of all, thank you. Thank you to all of you for your presentation. As everybody knows, I work at the middle school, so I'm well aware of the projects, and you have some notable individuals that are sitting among you that work in the UES. As she puts her head down, I know you're there, Miss Payne. And I know the services that you do provide to our teens and to our adults, and they are truly unmatched. And with the space that you have, what you're able to provide is really just quite impressive. And I thank you so much for such a comprehensive and very thorough presentation today. And we're discussing and looking forward to hopefully being able to add additional spaces for all of us. Thank
I
you.
also wanted to add that I frequent the library also many times throughout the year, being a high school English teacher, and I recognize, the amount of kids that you get after school. I'm one of the tutors that comes sometimes, and it's frustrating for you, I know, and it's frustrating for the teens that are constantly being shushed. So I think I recognize the issues.
And more importantly, you picked an excellent day to give a presentation because sitting in the audience are some pretty notable individuals that I'm certain are very happy to be here to have heard some of this, and that is our Assembly Speaker, Mr. Craig Coughlin, and I believe it's Assemblywoman Yvonne Lopez. I saw you come in, and if I'm missing anybody else, I apologize. So you can see we have some really, truly wonderful and remarkable professionals here providing the most they can, and this is why hopefully Saraville will get the nod for this grant. So thank you very much. If there's no other questions? No? Okay. Thank you.
Great presentation.
Great presentation. Thank you very much. With that, this next presentation has been long awaited because in our audience, we also have Mayor Kennedy O'Brien. And today, we have the honor of having the Assembly Speaker here in front of us. Are you still there, Mr. Coughlin? There you are. And the Assemblywoman Yvonne Lopez to come up and give an extra special presentation for the service that Mayor O'Brien has provided to this town, the leadership for the past 20 years. But And if you don't mind, I'm going to ask the council to come up to the railing so that way we'll be able to hear you and see you a little bit better. And I'm going to allow the microphones to be handed over to both of you because
Thank you, everybody.
this is your show.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have to apologize. I left the state checkbook home, so I can't give you the 500 grand tonight. But I am delighted to be here, along with my colleague, Yvonne Lopez. And Senator Vitale is with us in spirit. He's has some other work obligations and some home obligations, and so Kennedy, he's not here tonight to be with us, but certainly extends his best for your long working relationship with him as well. And look, we're in different parties, but that has never stopped you from being a friend. I was going through the resolution, and it was easy to get the resolution passed 120 to nothing because. You did better than I did. Yeah. Well, no, you got the 120. I don't get 80 on a lot of them, because everybody recognizes the kind of person you are and the kind of work that you have done for the people of Saraville. And going through your resume, plucked from the council, I guess appointed to the council in 1997 first to fill an unexpired term, and then on to be the mayor for 20 years. And having had the chance to serve with you over the course of the last decade, I've come to see the kind of commitment that you have, the kind of dedication to the people of Saraville, and a willingness to work across the aisle, because what has always been paramount to you is getting work done, getting the job done. And that is reflected in the resolution. I'm not going to read it to you because we have a strict rule never to read the resolution. You lose people. But the truth of the matter is, it does capture those things. That you truly are a man of the people of Saraville, from your involvement as a Weeblo leader to being involved in the anti-dumping campaign, things that don't always get a lot of, certainly don't get a lot of press attention, but matter to the people that you impact. And I think that's why, in a town where the politics are back and forth, and there were many, you served with many, many Democrats, you were a fixture. Because you earned it, because you cared about people and it came through, and as a result, they rewarded you by letting you be their leader until you decided what was best for you and for your family, and so we're all going to miss you, personally, professionally. I know we'll still continue to talk on a regular basis as we have since you've been gone. And on behalf of myself and Senator Vitale, I'm going to let Yvonne speak for herself. We appreciate all that you have done, the great work you have done in moving Saraville along. It is a wonderful community. He moved here from Metuchen, so he's a social climber. But he found a home, and he found people that he genuinely cared about, and he made it his work to make sure that they were better off because of him, and he succeeded. So congratulations on your long service. God bless you. I hope you have great years. It's good to see Janice. Hope you're feeling well here on behalf of all of us.
There's a photo op.
No, it's, oh, yeah. Well, open it up. Open it up then, Steve. There you go.
How do you top that, Craig? Oh, I speak from my heart. So, Kennedy, you know, I just completed my first term as the Assemblywoman, right? And I remember back in 2017 when you called me and said, Assemblywoman Lopez, I would love to meet you and talk to you. Let's have dinner. So we came here to Saraville, and I spent probably 2 hours with you, and we did not talk politics. What did we talk about? Talk about life, right? Life. And I want you to know that I'm never going to forget our relationship, personally and professionally. Thank you for your 20-plus years of service to the great town of Saraville. I know that you, in your heart, are going to leave a void. But we have a wonderful new mayor, Vicki. And I know that your love and your heart is to take care of your wife and to take care of your children and Patrick. And please, you also have to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your family. Okay? I love you.
Mayor, did you want to speak? Did you want to say a few things? Okay, I felt
Brevity's
better on
the
it.
key. Hi, Jessica. Mike, Dan, Nicole. Anyway, as always, it's always, for me, very humbling. So, from the bottom of my heart, what you don't know is I didn't meet you when you were an Assemblywoman. I met you when you were the director of Prod. Well, I'm going to let Sam know that I remembered something that you didn't. But PROD is the Puerto Rican Association of Human Development, and our Assemblywoman was the director for many, many years. And I remember she said, you know, Kennedy, you got to come, we're having our annual, right? Well, just ask me. Just ask me. And so I asked a friend of mine, Mayor Krenzel from Perth Amboy, if he'd like to come with me. And he said, Prod? He goes, absolutely. So you have affected positively more lives than you will ever know. And your heart is gold, all right? And we really appreciate your work here in Saraville. So, as I say many times, Craig Govlin and Yvonne Lopez are friends of Sayreville, and they're friends of mine, and they're friends of yours. So, Mr. Speaker, now that I'm no longer on a first-name basis, we're proud of you, and we congratulate you, and we thank you for all your work. You've always looked out after the people of Sayreville, because he's a South Amboy boy. His kitchen table, you talked about the church, the Yankees, and democratic politics. And Yvonne, I imagine your kitchen table wasn't that different, so say yes, say yes. Anyway, thank you one and all. It has been my humbling honor and my life's pleasure to have been the mayor here. So now, Janice and I will age into the sunset. Gracefully, I hope. All right.
Past, present, and future of Sayreville right here in the fabric of Sayreville with all of you. I know why you remember things now so well, because in only a few months here, the memory does start to go because you're very busy. She's still in office, so I'm glad that you're doing so well. You look fabulous. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Coach. Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you.
We'll just wait a few seconds so that way everybody has a chance to move out.
Great professional.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's always nice to start our meeting with proclamations and presentations, so I hope that we can continue to do that at every meeting. Anything for executive session today?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Moving on to old business. Jessica?
Public hearing on the following ordinance, ordinance number 490-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 17, Parks and Recreational Areas of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Sayreville. Need a motion?
Okay, there's a
I'm
motion.
gonna make a motion to table this. We have correction ordinances that's gonna take place instead of these, so.
Okay, we have a second, so roll call, please.
Councilpersons Enriquez.
Yes.
Delina.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Roberts.
Okay, next, please.
Ordinance number 491-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Section 2.15, Department of Recreation of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Sayreville.
Yeah, making a motion to table?
Second.
Councilpersons Enriquez.
Yes.
Delina. Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Ordinance number 492-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 17, Parks and Recreational Areas of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Sayreville.
Yeah, making a motion to table?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Enriquez.
Yes.
Delina. Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Public hearing on ordinance number 493-20, calendar year 2020, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
Councilwoman Roberts, please.
No, we got,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
gotta open this.
Open to the public. Open to the public on ordinance number 493-20. Yes, Steve? It's up there.
Steve
Thank you.
Malineski, 28 Scarlet Drive, Parliament. What I'd like to know is, I see it's the 3.5% increase. I'd like to know where the major variances are, if it is. Just curiosity.
I'll defer
What
over.
happened, Steve? Is this on? This is only to increase the cap and everything. This is not the actual budget. This is to establish a cap bank. So it's kind of different than what I think you're asking. The difference, if I misunderstood it, the difference between the 2.5%, which is what you're allowed to go up to, the 3.5%, is $457,000 $291.19. Is that what your question was?
Yeah, what was that caused by or due to?
No, it's not. It's not caused by or due to anything. It's an ordinance to extend the cap, okay, to go up to 3.5%. But we're not actually going to go up that in this current year's budget, if that makes sense to you.
Yes.
So there's no variances or any differences and everything. Your question is really geared towards when we have a public hearing on the budget, not really on this ordinance.
Okay. That's what I was getting at. Was there
Right.
a single item or two or three that
Right.
caused us to ask for the increase in the cap?
No, this just establishes a cap banks, say down the road, if gas goes back up to $4 a gallon, or inflation goes, or other expenses, at least you have money banked so that you'd be able to cover that additional expense. This
Okay,
is for
thank you. That's
future
what I wanted to
planning.
know.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody else from the public wish to speak on this ordinance? Yes. Name and address for the record, please.
Jan Fiat-Council, 128 Deerfield Road. You really didn't answer the question that the gentleman asked. If there isn't a need, why is this ordinance here?
It's for future, should something happen in the future. What'll happen is if we don't do it now, this will extend for 2 years. So say in 2022, if gas prices go up or electricity or anything at all, we at least have banked money to be able to spend and to cover those expenses. That's why.
And when was the last time an ordinance such as this was done?
It's done every year, ma'am.
So the cap right
adopted.
now is 3.5?
The cap for 2000, the actual state cap is 2.5%, but the state by ordinance allows you to go the extra 1%, and you establish what they call a cap bank.
I understand that. What is the cap bank for Saraville right now?
It's the 3.5%, which is, it's going up, the 2.5 would allow us to go up in our expenses, $1,143,227.98. By going up to the 3.5%, we're allowed to go up $1,600,519.17. But that stating that is not saying that we are going to use all those funds in this year's budget. We also have cap banks from 17 and 18 and 19 that we're using in this budget.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else with questions on this ordinance? Seeing none, Councilwoman Roberts, please? Was there? No, okay.
So, as the liaison, I get to introduce this, but we do get to vote on it also. So, the motion is to adopt the ordinance. I move that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading, and advertised according to law.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilperson Roberts.
On this one, because it's 2 years, I'm going to vote no at this time.
Delina. Yes. Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Public hearing on ordinance number 494-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration to amend subsection 2-62.2, composition of the Recreation Advisory Board of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
Open to the public for anybody that wishes to speak on ordinance number 494-20. Seeing none, Councilman Enriquez.
Move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Enriquez.
Yes.
Delina. Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Public hearing on ordinance number 495-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration to amend subsection 2-34.2, membership of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on 495-20? Seeing none, Councilman Enriquez.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Enriquez.
Yes.
Delina. Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Roberts.
All right, at this point, I do have some appointments to make, all for the SAFE Commission. I'd like to appoint the following individuals to that board. James Novak.
You want to do them all together?
Yes, if you don't mind, can we do them all together, and then we'll vote on them at the end? Nicole Parison, Christine Lilac, Jennifer Cabarra, Megan Corduner, Jeannie Monti, Cirillo Monti, and Elise Barone. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion we approve the appointments.
Is there a second? Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes,
Ro-
no, I'm recusing myself.
Okay. And Roberts.
On all or just one?
No, just the whole thing.
Okay. All right, new business now, Jessica?
Introduction of the following ordinances. Ordinance number 496-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 17, Parks and Recreational Areas of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
Councilman Enriquez?
I move the ordinance be approved. Yes, I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on March 23rd, 2020.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Enriquez.
Yes.
Delina. Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 497-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 17, Parks and Recreational Areas of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
Councilman Enriquez again, please.
I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on March 23rd, 2020.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Enriquez.
Yes.
Delina. Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 498-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Section 2.15, Department of Recreation of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
Councilman Enriquez?
I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on March 23rd, 2020.
Second.
Councilpersons Enriquez.
Yes.
Delina. Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 499-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 2 Administration to amend subsection 2-33 Recycling Commission and to delete subsection 2-33.6 Green Team of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
Councilwoman Novak?
Move that the ordinance be adopted on first reading, advertised according to law, for a public hearing to be held on March 23rd, prevailing time.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Delina. Yes. Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Roberts.
Okay, under consent agenda resolutions, I open to the public for any comments on the consent agenda resolutions. Seeing none,
I move the public portion be closed and the consent agenda resolutions be approved on roll call vote.
roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Delina.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, and CFO's report.
No report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Borough Engineer? Thank you. Borough Attorney?
No report, Mayor.
Okay, at this time, I will open to the public for any and all comments. Yes, Mike Diadio?
Can anyone tell me where you are with the rent control ordinance? There's been some discussion at the Rent Control Board, and it got back to me as the chairman of SARA, but I'm Mike Diadio, chairman of SARA, and that some applicants and some projects that we've done, the projects themselves feel they're not bound by the rent control ordinance. I had Jason Kaplan in front of the planning board a week or two ago, and I had him say on the record that he is, they do abide by the rent control ordinance. In reference to Gillette Towers on Main Street, they feel for some reason they are exempt from the rent control ordinance. Now, I know it's not our jurisdiction at SARA. It's not the jurisdiction of the planning board. I checked with the attorney. The only one that has the jurisdiction to exempt anyone is you.
So as far as I know, I don't believe that anybody here, at least in the time that I've been up here, that we've ever turned around and allowed a developer or anybody to ignore our ordinances or our rent control. I'll defer over to the attorney in reference to that.
No, there's been no exemptions whatsoever. I know that there was a contact made with Mr. Nolan last week to sit down with him this week to discuss the rent leveling control board. I know they have a meeting tomorrow night.
Right.
Mr. Nolan and Mr. Frankel and I are supposed to circle back this week.
And what is the cap? Is it 2% per? Is it 2% when your lease is up?
I believe so. Not having the statute in front of me, I can't verbatim state that.
Know what that is? Here, no.
No, but we can certainly circle back once we had the opportunity to meet with Mr. Nolan.
I'm pretty sure it's when your lease is up. It's not every year, it's when your lease is up.
All right,
You
and
can raise it.
if that is the percentage, is there an additional amount that can be charged? Do you know if taxes have gone up, or is it 2% including what your taxes were, or 2% exempt from taxes?
You know, it's a complicated calculation. It's a formula, so without the statute right in front of me, I must admit that I can't specifically.
I know
spread it on.
you had it on your agenda at the
couple
last
months
meeting, and it was never discussed. Do you have it in front of you tonight, any of you, or?
No, it's not.
It
It's
just
not on
kind
the.
of fell through the cracks?
No, I don't believe
No,
it
the
fell
Red
through the
Leveling Board, I
cracks.
think, actually came here to discuss that because when they saw that was being presented before us, they had questions about it and wanted to confer to make sure that the attorney had a chance to review it. So that was thrown back, I believe, to the Rent Leveling Board in order to turn around and take a look at that because there were some members of that board that wanted to make sure that they had seen the ordinance in its entirety.
And I remember John Krenzel coming before this council.
He did.
Before Christmas. I don't remember exactly what he was asking. I don't know, Counselor, if you remember.
Yeah, I do. He was asking for an amendment, which Mr. Nolan, I believe, drew it up, and I believe, and off my recollection, that it was adopted.
And what was that amendment to add?
Again, that was 4 months ago, so if you remember things
No, I
4
don't
months ago.
remember. That's why I'm asking.
So what I will say is was on the to-do list of Mr. Frankel and I to speak to Mr. Nolan, so that's why we called him last week. He was away for a couple weeks, and so I believe that we're supposed to see him in the next couple days.
Yeah, I think the meeting is tomorrow night at 7.
Right.
Is anyone going to attend? Mr. Frankel, are you going to be there, or just Nolan, or just the attorney? Or?
Just Mr. Nolan, this is
Mr. Nolan, okay, I'll see if I can make the meeting as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak from the public? Arthur?
Good evening, Arthur Rittenhouse, 33 Delacat Lane, Sayreville. First, as Shade Tree Commissioner Chair, thank you for the Arbor Day proclamation today. Our Arbor Day celebration will be April 25th at Kennedy Park, starts at 8 in the morning till noon. Again, this year we will have 500 seedlings to give out. Each family is entitled to 5. So if you come in the last couple of years, people have been getting there 7:30, quarter to 8 to get their 5 seedlings. And as I think I said at the last meeting, the one I got 2 years ago that was supposed to be the fastest growing hasn't grown. This big when I got it, still that big, but it's alive. I didn't kill it, but so it is alive. Also, the art contest. We're getting a lot of positive publicity for the art contest. That is this month, March, I think it's the 25th. It's a Friday night. We've got sponsors, Ashland Chemical, Riverton, Rustoni, several other businesses are sponsoring to give the prizes. Riverton, and I don't know if I'm going to give away their surprise or not, but what they're going to be doing is the winning projects and maybe some of the other ones, they're going to be taking pictures of them, blowing them up so they're full size like a billboard type.
Well, yeah.
And they're going to be at the entrance to Riverton so people can see some progress going on that. So we thank Riverton for that. So it's, moving along. Now for my other topic, Fulton's Landing. I thank Mr. DuPont. I did receive the letter, got the letter. Dan, thank you for sending it over. That letter really doesn't answer any of the questions, so I called and I spoke with Jessica McGrath today, the representative from the Department of Environmental Protection. All their job is to make sure that Fulton's Landing hires a company to check the soil and remove any of the contaminated soil. Then they're done. Nobody checks that soil other than the report that that company gives to the owner. So the owner is buying it. It's like having a fox in the hen house. They're also still working without a DEP permit since March of 2018. And in the current state legislature, there is a dirty dirt legislation being passed. That's because of the Marlboro incident that I told you about. And I would encourage, and CIRA, I hope, is checking this because they said they would be taking over and doing all the checking and checking the dirt and everything. I haven't heard anything about that, and I don't know if they've reported back to the council. But as it stands now, the mining permit has nothing to do with our ordinance. Soil conservation, freehold soil has nothing to do with our ordinance. DEP has nothing at all to do with our ordinances. We have ordinances that we should have been collecting money all the time they were bringing the dirt in, as well as them moving the dirt and taking the dirt out. That's in our ordinance, and I would encourage all of you to read the ordinance, because it's probably a couple of $100,000 that wasn't paid by Fulton's Landing or by the Mako property. So I would encourage everybody to read the entire ordinance, see what it says, and then answer the question, why don't we check the dirt? Why don't we look at it? You've got over 500 families possibly affected by that. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public?
Good evening, Christina Davis, 92 Miller Avenue. I just had a just a couple statements about, I guess, the ordinances that were now tabled in favor of revising them. Regarding ordinance 497-20, B, a few months ago, the council stated that they wanted to know everything there was to know about what goes on with the municipally sponsored youth organizations, especially since they receive taxpayer funding every year. So removing that part of the ordinance originally, I felt was doing the exact opposite of that. So I wanted to thank you for adding it back in and changing that to a quarterly statement, because I think that does help with checks and balances, especially with organizations that are receiving taxpayer funding. Secondly, however, in regards to item F on there, removing that still does remove the checks and balances. Without having that annual contract, or without having that annual discussion to make sure that youth sports organizations are up to date with the requirements of being a member of a youth sports organization, I just don't know when. My question was, when will that happen then? If it's not going to be happening in February, when will that verification of all the items that are required happen? Because we had a organization that was not a 501c3 for nearly 2 years, remained the municipally sponsored program in Sayreville, received taxpayer funding, so they weren't meeting the requirements of a membership, yet, you know, now if we remove that, that checks and balances situation is now gone. So I'm just curious as to what the process would be moving forward in regards to the annual contract if we get rid of that item.
I'll defer over to Councilman Enriquez on that as the recreation liaison.
It's going to be an ongoing. It's not going to be, we're not sitting there dedicating 1 month to keep checking on this. This is going to be an ongoing check now. So us saying we're only going to look at February, no, not anymore. It's going to be ongoing. So we're going to make sure that everybody's maintaining their standards.
Okay. So I know that we were planning on doing that as well in October when you requested to make subcommittees to look into all the municipally sponsored programs. But then we didn't hear anything back about those subcommittees that were supposed to be made to review each and every organization's bylaws, 501c3s, their financial statements. I don't, did those subcommittees ever come to fruition, and what was the outcome of that?
Well, as of subcommittees, Jerry Ust, our recreation director, he took hold of and had his employees, so to say, take a look at everything instead of forming a whole committee for each individual. He looks at everything as a whole with his employees, his clerks, and everything.
Okay, then at that time, there was an organization that was left off of that review. Our treasurer at the time did send an email to you personally, extending the offer to review, you know, offer any information that you would require, and asked if that you would return the email back to see if, you know, there could be anything that they could do to help you expedite that process, but that organization was not.
It was sent to me personally?
Correct.
I do not recall this email.
Okay.
I will check back.
Okay, it was sometime in October, but I can get you the exact date if you like.
If you could.
I can
Thank
ask
you.
him to re-forward it, actually, if that would work out better for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My second question was about 498/20. I did see that you added A, B, C, D back into the ordinance because that was missing on the first time. However, I did notice that the fee schedule remains the same. I did reach out to Melissa at the Department of Environmental Protection, as I know that Mr. DuPont said that he did reach out, to get these fees approved and reviewed by the Department of Environmental Protection. So I also reached out to Melissa, and she did give me the comparison sheet that was used to see if these fees fall in line with everybody else's. And there were a few discrepancies. And in most cases, the cost that Sayreville charges for these permits are double the cost in most cases, but in some cases, it's almost 4 times the amount of our neighboring towns.
I would like to respectfully disagree with you. We specifically went down to there, okay, to with all that we had and all the numbers that we had with the surrounding towns. And they said from open space that they were absolutely in line with what they want and what the surrounding towns are. So I don't know what numbers you're speaking about, but if you would like to make a comparison and let us know what they are and submit it to us, we'd be glad to look at it. But what you are saying is not what the DEP and open space is saying.
Well, I was just about to get there.
Okay.
I had not been interrupted.
I'm sorry I
However,
interrupted you, but I just wanted to clear the air, okay, to say what you said when we went down there, okay, is incorrect from what we had from them.
Some of the fees that were on that listing were regards to commercial and adult games, not youth games. Some of the fees that were cited on that comparison fees were fees charged for games only, not for practices. So NJDEP is under the impression that those
I don't think you can speak for what DEP is under the impression of. If you would like to submit those lists, okay, and what you have, we'll look at them and then we'll go over with them.
That's fine. I will be.
If you could do that.
I intended to submit them
Thank
back
you.
to the NJDEP so they can resubmit them to you for review. My point is, though, that regardless of where the numbers came from, it is cheaper for a Sayreville resident to obtain a field permit in one of our neighboring towns as a non-resident than it is to obtain a permit in Sayreville as a resident.
Anybody else from the public wish to speak?
Good evening, Tom Palando, 15 Oakwood Drive. I just want to submit to the mayor and the borough council the Sayreville AA's 2019 taxes. I believe that all the Sayreville AA requirements of the 5 organizations are now, complete. So I would also, Ms. Davis that was up here, if I'm not mistaken, the Sayreville Soccer Club 2015, 16, as well as 18 have not even been sent in.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public wish to speak? Thank you. Come on up. Hello again.
Randy Litz, 99 Main Street. So I brought it to your attention 2 weeks ago about parking all over Main Street. It has been nothing but increased in the last 2 weeks. I met with Sergeant Braille on Thursday, and he is going to bring it up to the engineer, I guess, of the borough about putting lines out for parking spots on Main Street. My question is, who is going to enforce them? Because the parking now is not being enforced. They're still parking in my driveway, and they're parked in the fire lane across the street. Once they fill the fire lane, then they come to me. So even if we put parking lines out, who's going to enforce it?
Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to. I don't have
I
I
was told
think.
I'm allowed to. I was just told the other day that I could start writing tickets, and I can go submit the pictures at court. How many do I have to do in order to get somebody to do it?
I'm gonna
to actually go there and do something, because me getting frustrated and blocking people in now is going to do nothing but cause a problem.
It's a powder keg. So what I'm going to ask is our business administrator, can we please call a meeting with our chief and with Sergeant Braille and see if we can work on an additional remedy to this. At the end of the day, it is enforcement. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of it. I was unaware, Jay, did you know about the recommendations coming forward at that point? So it hasn't reached our engineer's office yet?
We just had this
You just had
Thursday
the
afternoon, so I don't think it's gonna get to you probably till this week anyway.
So, I brought the officer directly to you the other, council meeting.
I know.
I'll continue to work, and I'm certain that the council up here will continue to work in order to try and bring a remedy to this situation. And as you just heard, we're gonna call for a meeting immediately with the chief and with Sergeant Braille in order to find out exactly what we can do. But I agree with you, I've driven that. As a matter of fact, this past weekend, I've been back and forth and did witness after it was, forwarded to me. There were some conversations on Facebook in reference to how much of an issue this is. This is an impact to your every single day.
Every day.
And I appreciate that you've been able to keep your composure, but I can understand your frustration at this point.
Yours is running very short.
I can imagine.
I mean, very short.
I can imagine. So if you give me at least this few hours here.
Sure.
And I'll make certain that the business administrator makes sure that those two individuals come forward and we express exactly how dire the situation is.
Sure.
Yeah. I think we do already have your number. I
think gave
believe
it, but
Jessica
if you want
has
it
it.
again, I will write it again.
So we'll do it again. It will just make the process faster.
problem.
And again, thank you for your patience on that. Do not hesitate. Feel free to call me directly. Feel free to email me. I'm going to be in contact with him early in the morning again.
That's fine.
Okay? We'll keep,
I mean, there just has to be a solution to the problem.
That-
I mean,
yes.
because now I'm blocking people in, and now they're telling me I'm obstructing traffic on Main Street.
yeah. That it's,
It's a lose-lose situation, and I'm just tired of it.
I understand 100%. I wish I had that ability to solve it today, but I can be pretty loud and convincing and persuasive. Just a little.
I hope I got through to some people that park there, but they just don't get it.
Yeah, but it's a little, that's your home. It's your home.
They just don't get it, though, like, it's amazing.
You should not,
I
right.
personally asked them if I can come to their house and block their driveway, or park in their driveway, and they all
Yeah.
tell me no. But they do it to me.
That is a Seinfeld episode, I have to say.
It's just,
And I don't mean to make light of it, but let me get your information again.
Not a
Mr.
problem.
Frankel, this has to be done immediately as soon as you come in the morning to make sure we have something to work on with that. And Councilman McGill is our public safety liaison, so I'm certain that you'll make sure of that as well.
Yes.
Thank you. Hopefully, if you choose to come back at our next meeting, it will be with some happiness and some good news and some progress. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Dan. This is for you. Okay, anybody else? Yes, Fred?
Hey, everybody. Fred Blog, 25 Calliope Road. We talked a little bit about the ordinance that's being brought up about a charge for Sayreville residents to get access to certain parks in town. And I know there's going to be a hearing on it on the 23rd, but I think I want to make sure that everybody kind of really thinks about putting Sayreville residents almost last in a position to ask for permission to use a park, and then also asking for a fee on top of that. I mean, I think if it's a night thing and you need to have the lights and stuff, you know, I guess there's additional costs for the electricity, for the lights and stuff, but if it's a day function, I'm just thinking you guys should maybe put some thought to maybe having the permit or asking for permission, seeing if somebody already has the field booked, but to charge on top of that, I think is kind of insulting to the residents. Maybe just think about that, just a thought.
Hey, Fred? I think there's a little bit of a misconception on our charging. Our fields are open to the public within the operating hours of the park without charge. There's only charge if you need the field at a structured level where you're scheduling games and scheduling practices. That's when we're gonna ask for permits and charge. If you're sitting there and it's a Saturday afternoon and the fields are open, you are more than welcome to come to the field and use the field. any field in Sayreville. There is not going to be a charge for it.
I got it. So thank you. That's a good clarification that I really appreciate. So showing up, use the park, no problem. You're saying more for coordinated leagues or groups that need to say, we need it every Saturday at 6 p.m.
Exactly.
That's
And
only
even
for not, let me make this clear too. That would only be for organizations that are not borough-sponsored or recognized organizations. So the Sayreville Little League, the multiple groups under the Sayreville AA, the Junior Bombers, the lacrosse team. So any of those sports and those organized groups that are recognized as a borough-sponsored and a borough-recognized organization, there is absolutely no cost. Those fees do not have anything to do with a youth-sponsored organization.
Okay,
Thank
very
you.
good. Again,
I-
also great information. And lastly, what does it take for someone to be recognized by the borough? If I wanted to start a softball league, for example, what would it take for our organization to come to the borough and get approved as an authorized?
Well, men's softball, you know, does exist and are recognized. I don't want you to think.
That's an example.
You know how things work, Fred.
Got it.
I don't want to go out that you're starting a men's softball league. You're going to anger some people. But I would have to defer that over to either our rec director, unless our business administrator and our attorney could give you all that criteria. But we could get that to you because these organizations have been around for a very long time. And the requirements under the municipality are, you know, punch list. This,
Great.
and that.
Somebody can email me that or something offline, that would be great.
Unless anybody up here has that information, but I don't know if they necessarily do. I think we'd have to.
There's a process.
There is a
We just
process.
need to understand the
Yeah,
process.
it's
so
under
that-
our ordinance. There's an ordinance I would follow, but I know what you're asking.
Perfect. Thank you so
Excellent.
much.
Thank you, Fred.
And
Anybody
also-
else?
Also, Mayor, to add the schools, there was incorrect information posted online. The schools are not affected in any way.
Yes, the schools are not affected in any way either. We already have a longstanding agreement with the superintendent and the Board of Education in reference to the fields that are used for the different sports programs, the baseball leagues. So, you know, I just ask that people make sure that what they're reading is actually accurate. Not everything that's put out on Facebook is necessarily truth. So I appreciate you coming up and asking Fred in order to get that information out. I do see another hand. Yes, Mr. Planda.
Once again, Tom Palando, 15 Oakwood Drive. The permits, I have a little bit of concerns because as the weather is getting warmer, I know lacrosse is going to be starting on the 18th to have practices. And I know this past weekend there was other organizations on the field to prevent issues. What is the council prepared to do?
All right, I already had a discussion with our rec director. I was gonna wait for my report, but I'll give it now. It is.
I think it is.
We initially did say we were gonna wait till the ordinance is passed. It was supposed to pass at this meeting, but obviously they got tabled, and instead of waiting the 2 weeks, I spoke with the rec director. He will start issuing the permits soon. Probably sometime this week, maybe into next week, but we will start issuing the permits as they come in, and the ones that already came in. So, you know, the teams that are supposed to be on the fields are on the fields, and they have time to get ready for the seasons. We don't want
We're
to...
talking about the sponsored organizations.
Yeah,
right?
sponsored organizations, it's going to go down the line just as we wrote it in ordinance, you know, it's our sponsored organizations, schools, it'll follow that same road.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes.
Bob Corby, 6 Evelyn Terrace. Relax, I have no questions. I just, I'm the new president of Sayreville Little League.
Yes,
And I think
congratulations.
we used to give this to Dave Stolte to do, but I have invitations to our opening day.
Oh, yes, thank
For
you.
all the council members, there's a couple extra in there. We're going to march, we're going to start up at Truman, and they'll march down through, I think it's Robin, and on Washington into the complex. You're all welcome to march if you want. It's pretty far, but you're all definitely welcome. We'll gather on the big field on the complex, probably start the ceremony at 10:30, so if you need some guidelines. But we have the new secretary's email address in there if you just want to tell us you're coming so we can allot time for all of you to say a few words. Mrs. Barr, I know you'll be there anyway, so that's it.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. You do a
Will not
beautiful
be-
opening day, and I've been happy to attend now for at least the last 5 years, so, and we're gonna hope for wonderful weather. Last time, you did an excellent job at making your opening day happen despite almost like monsoon weather.
Yes.
And even with the boards and everything, it was still a great event, so.
Well, we pushed it back to the 18th, Easter's the 12th. We decided instead of trying to interfere with the Easter egg hunt in town, we said, oh, let's go the 18th. Hopefully it guarantees better weather, but in Jersey, you never know.
I appreciate that.
You never know. Thank you so
Well,
much.
it enables us to get more games played that day instead of waiting until after the thing.
Right.
So I think we want the little kids, the T-ballers and stuff to play opening day. Everybody wants to play opening day.
Everybody wants to play opening day, understood. Thank you so much for coming up, and thank you for the invitations.
Thank you, and I
Thank
hope
you.
to see you all there on the 18th.
Anyone else from the public? Seeing none, can I
Move
have
the
a
public
motion?
portion be closed?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Did you want to speak?
Yeah, only just bring to your attention, I know that we did, as Mr. Rittenhouse had indicated, we did had an opportunity to send correspondence to the DEP for an update on Fullerton Landing. I was informed that Brickenhoff Environmental Service has been retained and is working on the site. I've asked for DEP and Jessica to reach out to me. She had indicated, or was going to indicate that DEP would respond to my letter. In addition, it's my understanding that there's been geotechnical activities on the site where there has been an entity whose purpose is to bore on the site. So I hope to have some additional testing. And then I will meet with Mr. Cornell regarding Mr. Rittenhouse's arguments about the ordinances, and I'll have an update at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. And any other comments from the council? All right, then I will ask for a
Move to
motion to adjourn.
adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Wonderful, and if everybody is okay, we'll move right into our agenda session. Please rise again for a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you again. Statement of publication, Jessica, once you sit.
We don't have agendas.
Thank you.
Just hand it to me.
No changes? There's two? Okay. Hmm. I'm sorry, say that one more. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, statement of publication, please, Jessica.
Take notice that this agenda session meeting of the mayor and council being held on this 9th day of March, 2020, has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina.
Here.
Enriquez.
Here.
Mar.
Here.
McGill.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Roberts.
Okay, under old business, please. Oh, I'm sorry. The following ordinances were introduced at the council meeting, and they were listed for public hearing and adoption on March 23rd, 2020. Any comments or questions regarding those ordinances? Seeing none, moving on to new business and communication of committee reports, administration and finance. Councilwoman Roberts.
Yes, there are no minutes or departmental reports. I do want to reiterate what Fred Block had said about the rules for becoming a municipally sponsored league, so I just wanted to put that out there. The only thing I found was a statement saying that must demonstrate a need for such an organization, so I think that's a little loose, and it leaves it open for existing teams to have a bigger presence and makes it more difficult for other leagues to open up into that space because it's very broad demonstrated need. So I would love to also have whatever it is that demonstrates a need and what would make a municipally sponsored league, because it does get a big advantage. So I'd like a little bit more of that. And I do want to note that a number of people have mentioned about the signups for some of the leagues happening at a political building, and it seems to be brought up that it can look a bit improper, so I did want to bring that up.
I didn't. Would you mind?
No, absolutely, go ahead.
Right now, we don't have a real recreational facility. And I really thank the Sayreville Democratic headquarters for allowing this to happen, because a lot of times you're trying to do these things and the weather's inclement. The fact that a 5013C, Sayreville Democratic Organization, is allowing another 5013C to come and use their building just to have a comfortable place to do it, I think is wonderful. I don't think it's a problem at all.
Okay, I just would like to recommend, though, that it has been brought up to me that some people feel that it is inappropriate, and using the Little League, who I think is going to Modell's for a sign-up, might be another alternative, just to make sure that there is that kind of separation. So just something to think about.
Well, I would like to say thank you to the Sayreville Athletic Association, to the Democratic Party for opening up their doors in order to allow not just signups, but other organizations to hold everything from parties for their groups to celebrate a season free of charge, so that those organizations don't have to pay out any additional monies. I'm proud to be a part of an organization that does that. Sometimes I think that we look at things because they're political, that a political party can't be benevolent or charitable or just there for kids and to help. I don't know when political parties were suddenly restricted from being able to offer that type of goodwill and charity. With that being said, though, I do think that it should be noted that I believe all the organizations, the Sayreville Little League I know does it, the Sayreville AA, I believe the Junior Bombers, they offer signups also electronically. So for any individual that would be uncomfortable stepping foot inside of a organization's headquarters, because that's what the sign says, they do have other options that would not, I guess they think that there's maybe some kind of a branding going on. The last time I checked, I don't think any of the children or parents, when they walk in to sign up for a sports league under the Democratic headquarters sign, now must either give away their children and/or register as a Democrat for eternity. So I would like to just say that, listen, if the Republican Party had a headquarters and they were willing to offer that same service, I think that's what's wrong with the world right now. When we turn around and we say that because you're named this, you're not allowed to offer something for free and for help, I think we really need to investigate where we're going as a society and just as a country when we are going to turn around and put these types of stigmas on groups just because of where they're holding an organization's signups. But thank you, Sayreville Little League. If you're able to get Modell's to sponsor your registration, that's really great. But I will let you, we're technically not in public, but I will it's okay, because I know how, no, you can come up. You can. Yeah, you can come up. That would be better. Some people might argue that they don't like that you're using Modell's versus.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'll let you speak.
Yeah, they're not really sponsoring what we do. I think we did it with Bubba's probably a week or so before.
Yeah.
Modell, we just did it Sunday. Modell's gives us a space in the back. We put it out there that you can come and register. We also pair it up with what Modell's calls Team Week, and everybody we give coupons to gets 15% off. The league gets 5% back of whatever gets sold under those coupons.
Yes.
For 4 weeks. So it's just an opportunity, it gives us space to register people, because you want to get as many people registered as you can, wherever they can. And what we found was, especially with the younger parents, that it might be their first time playing baseball, playing t-ball, hey, what do I need? He needs a
Absolutely.
glove, he needs a bat. Hey, we got board members, walk you over there, we have, whether it's softball, t-ball, because, you know, we don't want kids showing up with 33-inch bats and they're 4 years old.
I've been a
So,
coach for many,
know.
many years, and I've seen it.
Right.
So
It'll
I
happen.
think
If
that's
it's not- yeah, so-
absolutely. Or they'll come with soccer, like, pads for, you know, the baseball season.
Right.
I think it's great.
They'll come with older brother's bat, but older brother was 13 and it's a, you know, drop 3 and.
Yes,
But,
I hear
it's
you.
yeah, they just give us back whatever, a percentage of what gets sold under us. They're not sponsoring, you know, giving us money to hold a registration there, but it's just, it was nice. We were there for a few hours, we helped a lot of families, we helped Modell's, which apparently really needs help.
They do, yes.
So, you know, it was kind of a win-win for both, so.
No, thank you for
But they
clarifying
didn't,
that.
you know, give us money to hold a registration there. It was, you know, it was just kind of a partnership between the two businesses. We did it in Bubba's too. We had a fundraiser and they gave us a table in the front and we answered questions and registered people when they showed up. So, you know, that's just to clarify what.
Thank you so much.
You're
Good job.
Say one thing?
Okay, moving on, yes.
May I just say one
Of
thing?
course you can.
I don't want to belabor this topic, but I don't know whether it was last year or the year before. I've been the council liaison to the Office on Aging since I got back on the council in 2011, 2012. And I had people come and complain to me that the Republican Party was registering people at the senior center. And my response was, I think everybody should have the opportunity to register to vote, and if they're making it easier on the seniors or any other person that, you know, it's ample parking there, there's ample room, I had absolutely no problem with it, and I never brought it up at all. I just felt that the person that was complaining just liked to complain. But, you know, we all should be helping one another. That's
agree.
the whole idea. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much for that. Planning and zoning, please, Councilman Delina.
Thank you, Mayor. There's no minutes and departmental reports to report. B, notice of adjacent community property owner. Number 1, notice of application before the Sayreville Planning Board on March 4th that Hercules LLC seeks minor site plan approval for the installation of a modular buildings to serve as a changing facility for employees located at 50 South Minisink Avenue. Receive and file.
Is there a second? Now there's a third. Moving on, ordinance.
Ordinance received from the Township of Old Bridge amending their land development ordinance. Receive and file.
Is there a second? Thank you. Committee reports, anything to add, Mr. Delina?
No committee reports, Mayor. I would just like to wish all of our women in leadership positions up on the council here today a happy International Women's Day. I know we are a day late, but I have it right in front of me. I made sure I saw something going around on Facebook yesterday, so I just want to say happy International Women's Day to everyone. And if for those of you who don't know, it's a global day celebrating the social, economic, and cultural and political achievement of women. The day also makes a call to action for accelerating women's equality, which I think is something that we should continue doing. And I think Sayreville's heading in the right direction with the amount of ladies that are sitting up here now. I would also like to say there's a lot been going around about the coronavirus, COVID-19. I see that more cases are popping up in New Jersey, and today Governor Murphy declared a state of emergency. You know, and it's kind of, people are making it seem like it's common sense. All you have to do is sing happy birthday twice while you wash your hands, but it's more than that. Just keep kind of, I don't want to say stay away from people, but, don't shake someone's hands, hit an elbow instead. And there's information posted on the borough's Facebook page regarding things to do. You can also visit the county's health department website and also visit the CDC. So with that, progress.
Thank you, Kevin. I will, I'll comment now since you brought up the coronavirus issue now rather than waiting for my report. Obviously, this has reached international levels. Each time you put on the news, you see some new update, some new information regarding the coronavirus. So one of the things that I can say, and plaudits to the Board of Education. I know we have a Board of Education member in the audience, but I won't make her come up because I know she likes to be quiet sometimes. But the Board of Education has done a very nice job at keeping the parents informed as to what steps and measures that they are taking in order to try to minimize the risk at the school. With that being said, I wanted to make certain that from a municipal perspective, that we were going to take the much needed precautions, so that way we don't have to become reactionary, but we can be a little proactive. So I had spoke to Mr. Franklin, I asked them to arrange a meeting with our OEM, our Office of Emergency Management, this week on Wednesday, so that we can go over any protocols in reference to pandemic preparations as we move forward. I would much rather be prepared than to be caught off guard. So Mr. Frankel has made certain to schedule that meeting. In addition to that, I'd asked him to reach out to our technology director, Mr. Bracken, so that way we can make certain that in the event that we would ever have to shut down, that the essential municipal departments were able to operate, whether that be here or whether that be at home. And we'll also be discussing additional measures in order to protect our common areas here within the municipality. We know this is an open building, but we want to try to reduce the spread of any type of disease or germs, so that way it's contained to certain areas and doesn't put our employees at additional risk. My bigger concern, however, though, is if you're following anything regarding the coronavirus, it is our senior population that unfortunately has a more difficult time in the event that they are infected with the coronavirus, and potentially could be fatal to them. So I had asked him to also reach out this week for our director of our Office on Aging, so that we can make sure that those areas are being cleaned, sanitized, and that population, our senior population, had the most up-to-date information on how to protect themselves and who to contact and where to go in the event that they do feel sick or ill or they need any type of emergency transport. So we are currently working on that, and we've been very diligent. I want to thank Nicole for working on making sure that our new Facebook page that is finally up and running continues to put out information as we get it, most appropriately. And we don't want to create a hysteria or a panic, but we just want to be prepared. So at least you will know from the municipal perspective, we're doing everything that we can to stay on top of this. And we've also reached out to additional municipalities around the area so that we can try and coordinate services with them as well. So thank you for bringing that up. And let me just say, Councilman,
Sorry to steal your thunder.
you didn't steal anything. You gave me a segue. But I also want to say thank you for those nice wishes about Women's Day. And I also like to note that this month and last month, Councilman Delina made it sure that he was actually the only person up here wearing purple in honor of National Women's Day.
Also,
Enriquez as well, that is correct. So your mom's raised you well, and your wives should be very proud of you. So with that, we'll move on then to public safety, is it? Yeah, of course.
Speaking as a first aider, it's very important to wash your hands, but if you wash them too much or you're using these alcohol cleaners, they're going to get dry and they're going to get cracked and you'll be more susceptible. So please, if you're using that stuff a lot, even a little bit, also put moisturizer on your hands so you're not more susceptible because you have sores or cracks. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Now on to public safety. Councilman McGill, please.
Second.
Going towards request for the corner of Washington and Ernston Road received from OLB Knights of Columbus on June 13th and June 14th, 2020. Request to travel received from Engine Company Number 1 to attend the annual golf outing on April 24th, 2020 in Colts Neck.
Any objection? No? Okay. And there's one more, Councilman McGill, if you
I'm
could.
sorry,
did
and
you have
B,
letter
notice of
B?
retirement received from, thank you again, Mayor.
No problem.
Notice of retirement received from Sean Swearinga as police officer in the Sayville Police Department, effective June 1, 2020.
There a second? Thank you. Any committee reports or comments, Councilman?
Progress.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Recreation, Councilman Enriquez, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no minutes or departmental reports this week. Application for a special event received from the following: First Presbyterian Church to conduct a flea market on Saturday, June 6, 2020.
Any
Rain
objection?
date, June 13, 2020.
Moving forward. All committee reports.
Yes, I do. Okay, just want to announce a couple of bus trips that the rec department set up. We have a bus trip to Yankee Stadium on May 22nd, July 10th, and August 21st. All games are Friday nights, and the bus leaves the rec center at 4 p.m. Tickets are $100 each, which includes admission, parking, and the driver tip. All seats are located in the lower section of 130, rows 8 through 15th. You can buy the tickets at SayrevilleRec.com. Get your tickets, they're going fast. That's it. Progress, man.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Water and Sewer, Councilwoman Mar.
I have no minutes or departmental reports to submit. Just a few comments. One, I'm very excited that we're finally on social media. You mentioned it earlier. It's titled Borough of Sayreville. Your assistant Nicole is doing an amazing job. We have almost 1,000 members, about 4 posts per day, and you know, it's a great way for the community to get informed.
We're starting.
Secondly, Coffee with the Councilman or Woman. We're starting it the last Tuesday of every month. Dave and I are up first. We rotate members every month at the Senior Center, and I think it's a great way to get to know us and for us to know you. And Dave is very excited about having me as a partner. He's the yin to my yang. And then finally, I have a commuter meeting coming up next week.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman
And thank you,
Mar.
Kevin. I'm very proud to be sitting up here.
Public Works, Council President Novak, please.
Yes, I don't have any departmental reports. I'm very proud to be sitting up here with such fine women and gentlemen. And as far as a report, I'd just like to thank everybody again for the wishes and the prayers on the snow condition. Please keep it up. Because you never know. I've had a few white Easters in my life, so. Other than that, progress, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Council President. Under my comments for today, we have a resolution needed supporting the Wayland National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation for our next meeting, please, Jessica. Thank you very much. And with that, yes, I am also very honored to stand up here and to be a part of this this year's National Women's Day. And here's hoping that we can continue this again next year. And we can all, again, celebrate the wonderful things that not just this council is doing, but women just around the world taking a stand and hearing their voices being heard. As a, mom of 2 daughters, this has been a pretty exciting month for us in the house, and I just ask for prayers for my husband, because he's had a rough go this month. With that, Business Administrator's report, please, Mr. Frankel.
Thank you, Mayor. Authorization to increase liquor license renewal fees from $2,000 to $2,250 in year 2020 and increase to $2,500 in year 2021 for all consumption and distribution licenses, and increase club licenses from $140 to $160 in 2020 and increase to $188 in 2021. Need to introduce the ordinance and send copies to all licensees.
Okay, any objections or comments on that? Then you'll have that prepared for next meeting. Thank you, Jessica.
Authorization to amend Section 33-11, disabled veterans tax refunds to comply with the application.
Any objections?
Authorization to submit paperwork for the grant application of the Department of Community Affairs for Bailey Park in the amount of $500,000.
Any objections? No.
Authorization to amend ASME salary ordinance to add a water repairer 3.
Any objections?
Authorization to advertise for bids for gasoline and diesel fuel.
Any objections?
Authorization for the Sayreville Public Library to apply for the grant through the New Jersey Library Construction Bond Act that we heard this evening.
Any objection?
Authorization to appoint Paul Conlon from Water Treatment Plant Operator to Labor 1 in the Water and Sewer Department effective March 16, 2020.
Any objection?
Authorization to promote Jeff Downs to Water Treatment Plant Operator from Pumping Station Operator in the Water and Sewer Department effective March 16, 2020.
Any objection?
Authorization to promote Zachary Ranovitz to pumping station operator from Labor 1 in the Water and Sewer Department effective March 16, 2020.
Any objection?
Authorization to appoint Aaron Smith to Labor 1 in the Water and Sewer Department effective April 1st, 2020.
Any objection?
Authorization to advertise for bids for water meters and related equipment.
Any objection?
And that is it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. CFO's report, please. Okay, thank you. And Borough Engineer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 2 items this evening. The improvements to Hag Street project and the Hercules Village Water and Sewer project both have been completed. We're recommending resolutions closing out the contracts, accepting the work, and approving final change orders, and both are going to have net reductions.
Okay,
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Borough Attorney's report.
No report, Mayor, and no need for executive session on my part.
Thank you then. At this point, I'll open to the public for any comments. Steve, yes?
Steve Malineski, 28 Scarlet Drive in Portland. It's really a question. on the recreation side for the public library grant, the team here did a great job tonight in presenting that, and I think it's absolutely necessary. But I was listening to the presentation about space and how many children from the middle school and the high school are populating that. I was wondering if there's any way, since the school Board of Ed is right there providing the children, which is great for them and great that they have a facility, is there any way they could partner for more space or more facility or a little bit of funding, maybe from the Board of Ed and this middle school and the high school? I mean, it's close, there's proximity. I'm not saying don't do what they want to do, but I'm saying maybe in addition to, since they had a real forecast for growth, population growth in 2030, I thought maybe there was some way that the library and the Board of Ed could partner together to open up some facilities, if needed, to supplement what we're doing. It's really a question to the council, and I didn't want to interrupt the presentation. I'm all for the kids and getting this done. It's really beneficial. But it just dawned on me that maybe there's a way to partner with the Board of Ed and the public library to enhance the facilities and what's available for the children.
I think you brought up a great comment. I do know, again, that there are ears within this room that I'm certain have heard what you said and will probably bring it back to the board. But I will say that this year, within the couple of months that I've been up here, I have worked very hard in order to bring a partnership and a relationship to the Board of Education. I have had the opportunity to sit down and talk to the superintendent, Dr. Labby, and we have done some really great things already, that we're beginning a nice partnership with the Board of Education for a bunch of different things. So I'm looking forward to continuing that. Some of the things that we're working on is obviously the improvements to Bailey's Park, to that pathway, bringing lighting, and hopefully bringing some ease of the traffic congestion, which the Board of Education, we sat down and agreed to. We discussed bringing an additional SRO into the upper elementary school, where we already do a cost sharing with the other two officers, which is great. And I know the Board of Education is considering that, and I believe have okayed that, or at least are in the process of hopefully moving in that direction. We have spoken about their need for a bus depot because the facility they have now is no longer functioning at the level that they need, and we're coming up with ways to work together and hopefully providing some type of cost sharing services and ways to work together. You have two government agencies within this town, both of which draw a lot on our wallets, okay? So you have the Board of Education with their taxes, and then you have municipal taxes, and anytime that the two entities can work together for the betterment of the residents. For us, it's one wallet. Doesn't matter which hand is taking it. So I'm really happy with the progress already that we've started to make in just a couple of months, and I'm sure that that will get brought back. I don't know if there's possibility there, but at the very least, we can start the conversation.
Right, and I'm sure there's going to be some synergies between the two groups, and that's great. That's great progress. But this, based on what they presented today, I said, gee, these are all 100+ children from the school system looking for space, looking for aftercare, or whatever, however you want to tell it, to do work, homework, and study, and it'd be great to add that into that mix. That's all I thought.
I believe what you're saying is probably going to go back to the Board of Ed. And just for the record, we also have a liaison on the library board that is actually from the school. That's Ms. Lori Dobrinsky. And she's also the middle school library and media specialist. So I do know that she often voices the same things as well. So we do have good people that are on there trying to pitch exactly what you are as well, Steve.
Thank you.
So thank you. Thank you. Any additional comments from the public? Ms. Davis?
Just two things really quick. Christina Davis, 92 Miller Avenue. Just for clarification, one of the benefits of being a municipally sponsored program is, and I thank you for bringing this up, even though I was not one of the people that brought this up to you prior, but one of the benefits of being a municipally sponsored program is having access to borough buildings such as the Sedlak building or in the Office of Aging at the Senior Center. Some other organizations have used those facilities free of charge to do uniform handouts or sign-ups. So there are areas in our borough that can be utilized very easily as a municipally sponsored program. The other thing I wanted to mention, and that was as a Sayreville parent, but now I'm putting my Sayreville Soccer Club hat on. Sayreville Soccer Club recently reached out to Bark, which is an app that parents can put on their phones to help monitor their children with at-risk activities such as TikTok and other apps and text messages and emails. We teamed up and became affiliate program with them. What normally happens is BARC would give Sayreville Soccer Club a kickback as, you know, being a sponsored or affiliated program. Sayreville Soccer Club decided to pass that kickback on to anyone in Sayreville that gets the app would get a 10% discount. So instead of that money going to Sayreville Soccer Club as a fundraiser, that money's being passed on to the parents of Sayreville. Now, that it is a subscription. It is an option. It's not just for Sayreville Soccer Club participants. It's for all residents of Sayreville, regardless of what youth organization that you belong to. But we felt that was important, especially with what's been going on recently, that if you do feel the need or you do want to just add that extra step of security, that you do have the option and you do take advantage of the 10% discount that you can't get otherwise. So that's all.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public wish to speak? Okay, wish that.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And with that, can I have a motion to adjourn? There we go. All in favor? Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great evening.